You are listening to the Atlanta Real Estate Forum radio show, all about real estate edition, shining a light on the movers and shakers in the real estate industry, the home builders, developers, realtors, and suppliers making it all happen. And now, here are today's hosts.
Good morning and welcome back to the All About Real Estate edition. I am your host, Todd Schnick, joined by my co-host and friend, Carol Morgan. Before we kick things off, we want to thank New American Funding for being our 2020 show sponsor, our 9th year on the air. It is going to be and has been a great year with them as our partner, and we are most grateful for their support of this show. All right, Carol Morgan, speaking of New American Funding, got a really intriguing conversation with one of their team members today. I'm really looking forward to it. Kick us off, please.
I'm excited about this conversation as well, Todd. We are joined today in studio by Jose Plascencia. He is the branch manager of the Marietta Branch for New American Funding. So welcome, Jose.
Thank you. Thank you, Carol and Todd. Happy to be here.
Yeah, Jose, we're happy to have you. Appreciate you making time to join us. We were talking before we went live that you are most busy these days. Do appreciate you carving out a few minutes for us. Before we, I guess I should say, since you are our sponsor for this year, we have been talking a lot about New American Funding over the course of 2020. But just in case someone listening today, do a quick overview of both your background and New American Funding.
Absolutely. So my name is Jose Plascencia. I've been in the mortgage industry since 2008. It's all I know, and I'm happy to own that. I love this industry. I love my career, and I'm happy to be part of New American Funding. I'm going on 2 years now with them, and my only regret is I should have moved with them sooner. It's a really, I really consider it home. Really great company. Their principles are more what they stand for, especially being part of the Southeast region where I'm out of. I'm a branch manager for the Marietta location. Great group, great culture. And yeah, we're not going nowhere. We're the NAF Southeast takeover is what we call it.
The NAF Southeast takeover. I love that. So, well, good move 2 years ago. Glad you're here with us. Let's talk about New American Funding's local Latino efforts. I know that's something that you've been spearheading or working hard on.
Yeah, absolutely. So one of the reasons, I joined New American Funding for many reasons, but one of the ones that stood out for me was the majority of the Latino business within the company. And I'm not talking about the Southeast. I'm talking about company-wide. It's mainly, out throughout California, mainly throughout Texas, those areas, because they do have, a lot more bilingual representations within the company. Latino Focus, that's a campaign that they came out with in 2013. And they said, we are committing to lending $25 billion in just Hispanic mortgages. And I know we're going to meet that goal. I know we're not going to have no issues because we have the tools and the resources to get it done. And that's one thing that stood out to me because I am also part of another organization. It's a real estate organization, NAREP, National Association of Hispanic Real Estate Professionals. And that's how I found out about New American Funding. So it was somebody out in California that I got in contact with. They put me in contact with Kelly Ellison, and the rest was history. She's amazing. She's awesome. And the company itself, the Latino Focus campaign, because that's what it is. And in the Southeast, New American Funding already has a strong presence, but they needed someone to spearhead that movement here in Atlanta, here in the Southeast. Myself personally, I'm well known in the Latino community with real estate agents on the resale side, and I've been doing this for a while now. So it's one of those where it's yes, I'm more than happy. I'm always about change. I'm always about, taking something on. And it's something when I joined, over a year and a half ago, last year, okay, let's do this. We have a mission and we're only building our machine better and better every day. We're greasing where we need to grease it. We're just oiling up the machine, and I'm happy to take on this challenge.
Well, I couldn't think of a better gentleman to be responsible for that for New American Funding. And it's important to reiterate here that your outreach to Latino and Hispanic isn't just external trying to find customers. I mean, it is a big push internally as well. And I think it's important to talk about that. You mentioned NAREP. I mean, I think you have the most loan officers on that list. 25% of the workforce of New American Funding is Hispanic. I mean, that's, so talk about this, why it's a dual purpose in terms of external and internal focus on this.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. And my thing is like you have let's start with the external. You have that client where, let's call it for a lot of times when people are new to something, they feel more comfortable speaking, with someone similar to their, personalities or cultures, however you want to look at it, only because it's something new to them. And that's my thing. I'm like, guys, like a lot of times, I'll still have people that, we all do. We still have people that say, hey, I want to buy a house, but I need 20% down. You don't need 20% down to get approved for a home loan. I don't. You don't. And it's just, you kind of give them like the basics and all that stuff. And a lot of them are approved. They just don't know. And it's because they've been hesitant to apply because they're just scared of either some of them, they got caught in the mix back in the market crash, the good old days, as they call them, like the 05, 06, 07 days. And so some of them are still traumatized. Some of them, lost their homes. And some of them just because word of mouth. Well, I'm not going to tie into home ownership because my dad lost his house in the recession, or my uncle or my sister, whatever the case is. But it's our job to educate them, saying, guys, that was then, this is now. Like everything is based on now for your protection. We have to send you disclosures like weeks in advance before we settle, before we close you. Like we have to do different things here and there, And it's one of those things where we kind of we just have to educate them to feel comfortable. Now, internal. One of the owners is Latino. She's amazing. And her story is amazing as well. And my thing is though, how when someone is, someone is talking and you're just like, okay, you're just a used car salesman. I could see over you. But then when someone is really preaching and you're like, wow, no, I could feel it. I could feel the passion. I could feel the desire. That's the feeling I got with New American Funding. Because, let's call for what it is. Everyone, and I'm speaking for all of us, we could see when people's just coming at us with fluff, or we could see when someone's really like, oh, wow, you actually touched me there. And it takes a lot for people to, get in my little soft area, however you want to call it. And that's how I felt with New American Funding. And that's just when me looking in. Once I met with Kelly, once I really started talking to them, saying, hey, I see a possibility of us joining forces, that's when it really was that missing piece to the puzzle. That's when it really was wow. And going back to internal, it's we all have our roles inside. It's not just, Jose, run credit, loan close. No, we all know it takes a lot more to get a loan qualified, approved, processed, underwritten, closed, however you want to look at it, from A to Z, from start to finish. And what I like about my team and a lot of the operations, most of the operations within that, is we all just have that mission. Let's get them close. Let's get them in a home. When we think about someone's file, we don't think about, loan number 02 in Garcia. No, we think about there's a family behind this. There's a family behind every contract. There's a family behind every real estate, however you want to look at it. And that's the true passion that we carry on, because you do good amongst people, it's going to come back, and do good amongst you. So that's when the internal and external, because we are an underserved community. And it's one of those guys, we're not here to get you. There's no force. There's nothing. If you don't want to buy now, it's okay. Come, I'm here. I'm not going nowhere. Right. So that's kind of what I got.
And it's so true. I think New American Funding has done a really good job of looking at the individual applying for the loan. And that's something we hear over and over and over and over from our guests who talk about New American Funding and, enjoy working with them as a partner, is that they, that you guys do a great job helping to close those loans and looking at the individuals as individuals. So thank you for that. Obviously you are working with an underserved group. Why is it important to serve this group and work with them and, help Hispanics and Latinos get loans?
Great question. And it's one of those where in this business, lending, real estate, home building, and anything, it's always good to think long-term, right? Mm-hmm. Think of the bigger picture. Don't just think, okay, this week I'm looking for Friday, go out, hang out for the weekend and come back. No, think long term. If you're really in for the long run, you got to think long term. That's what I tell all my people. And the Latino community, it's the fastest growing sector with home ownership. It's growing. Whether you have the first generation, like the parents that, they came here legally, they got their papers in line and they're working and they're like, hey, let me know what I got to do to get a home. Or whether it's first generation, their kids, or if they've been here for a while now and they just want to get it. Like, that's the fastest growing sector, the fastest growing sector. And I would say a lot of them, like, that is like, like when it comes to, hey, we want to come to America for a better life, better lifestyle, make sure my family is good, they're not starving. That is like the main goal. But getting that home ownership, that's like that cherry on top. That's like, I went to the best country in the world and I didn't just go and staying as a guest. I went, I had paid my dues, and now I have an actual home to call my own. I have my own actual real estate. And that's what I like about what I do exactly. Like, I say, hey, what do? I help finance the American dream. Mm-hmm. You have the American dream. For most people, when we say the American dream, it's really owning a home, getting that piece of land, calling it yours. And it's like, hey, well, we're here to help you finance it. I mean, if you got cash, hey, more power to you. Bring those briefcases of cash, verify, make sure it's clean, get the home. More power to you. But not everyone's in that position. So that's when we come in to help make sure that we take care of the finances.
New American Funding is committed to delivering home loans on time while providing 5-star service. Their 14 business day close guarantee and fully underwritten pre-approval gives you an unbeatable 1-2 punch impossible for sellers to ignore. For more information on New American Funding, call 678-898-3540. That's 678-898-3540.
I love it. I love it. You know what else I love about how you guys do this is, how many organizations out there who like to say that they have a focus on Latino outreach, and they bring on one person to the team who can kind of speak to all those folks. I mean, as I understand it, your entire team is bilingual. I mean, so this is a full throttle commitment to Latino outreach, right?
Correct. And thank you so much, Todd, for bringing that up. And yes, that's what I tell everybody. Like, me and my whole team, we're bilingual. And that's why I say, let's say you were one of my clients and you're, some people are old school. They're like, hey, like, yeah, I see you're sending me an application link. I see that, you're giving me like 3 or 4 ways to apply, submit my data. I get that. But I just feel weird about uploading my documents to a mysterious portal. I feel weird about entering my social into your online app. I want to see you in person. That's cool. I always tell my clients, whatever's easier for you. If you don't want to submit the app, you don't have to. If you don't want me to take your credit over the phone, you don't have to. You want to come to the office? Let's set up a time. Let's set up an appointment. And I have one, whether it's my 2 assistants, processor, underwriter, from A to Z, we're all fully bilingual. And it's one of those things where it helps with the flexibility, because I could be out prospecting. I could be out with one of our home builder partners, prospecting with them, making sure, they're good to go. We're in September now, so people are going to, start to trying to be more on offense, and they're going to be out, hey, what can we do to keep the momentum going? Summer's almost over. It's already over. So it's one of those things where, like, that dual role. I'm out with a business partner doing what I got to do, but I have my team back in our Marietta branch taking the apps, taking copies, or I'm there myself and we do the good old face-to-face. Or if it's one of those where it's the millennial, younger crowd, or someone that's more tech savvy, hey, here's my website. If you want to do that. Some people just say, Jose, just let me know when you could talk on the phone and I'll give you all the information over the phone. We'll do that as well.
Yeah, lots of different opportunities there. And I understand that you can work with different types of work permits and visas. How does that work?
Yes, thank you for bringing that up. And it goes back to the first generation, like the ones that, came here when they were barely born, when they were months old, but they were born in another country, or the ones that came here like when they were in high school or junior high school. A lot of them, they just think, hey, I am not a U.S. citizen. I cannot purchase. Or, hey, I am not a resident. I cannot purchase. That is not true. That is not true. We do work with, different work permits and different visas. Because the work permit pretty much, like, there's steps. Like, the work permit pretty much is like, hey, I'm here. I came here legally. I'm in the process of going for my residency. Eventually, I'm going to become a citizen. But right now, I'm here working, paying taxes. I got a social, all that good stuff. And different permits depends on their background, which country they came from, what their situation is, if they're like a refugee, if they just came for a better life. It just depends. But we do work with most of the work permits. And there are some other lenders where it's just, hey, it's either U.S. citizen or residency. And there will be times where loans fall into my lap only because, like, okay, I run credit. You have an 800 credit score. You're making six figures on W-2. I mean, you have a good amount of reserves in the bank. What's going on? I don't know. They just told me they couldn't. Then I look, I'm like, I call the other loan officer. Yeah, we just don't work with those visas. I thought it was a resident card, but it's not. I'm like, yeah, it's not a resident card. Like two different cards, they have two different templates, two different things. But those are like the part of the reasons why New American stands out compared to your ABC lender.
Yeah,
those
absolutely.
are questions that I picked on them before I even joined. Like, hey, do you guys do this? Do you guys do this? Do you guys do this? And it was yes. So it's one of the reasons why we stand out as well. So great question, Carol.
Sounds like the other lender's loss is your gain. So kudos to you.
Mm-hmm. Well, heck, there's something else I want you to talk about. We were chatting before we went on the air that in some circumstances you can now accept a 580 credit score. I mean, that's in these strange days, that's going to change some lives. Talk more about that.
Absolutely, Todd. Absolutely. Yes. I mean, 2020, let's call it for what it is. It's been a weird year. We all know that. It's just this COVID thing and all that good stuff. I mean, it's been a weird year. Number one is making sure everyone is healthy and good to go. Obviously, everyone's priority. But when COVID came, obviously it hit a lot of sectors. Cars took a huge hit. Hotels, I mean, just different sectors took a huge hit. On our side, a lot of lenders, and when I say our side, I'm talking about like lenders just across the board. The mortgage industry had changes as well. A lot of us, because there was some people that they just couldn't afford, or they thought, they weren't going to be able to afford, their homes or whatever the case may be. So, they went into forbearance, and just different things happened as a domino effect with COVID. A lot of lenders were forced to tighten up their ships. And depending on the lender's capital and background, that's how you know if they really had to tighten like how much they had to tighten their ship. We had changes as well. However, not as much as other people. I know colleagues that work for other banks where they're like, yeah, bro, I mean, our lowest is a 660 to qualify. Our lowest is a 680 to qualify, and they're just like, I'm telling you, going back to, the main object is to get the family in the home. So it's like the cool family, they really want a home. I'm working with 650 credit score. Oh, Jose, take a look at it. Boom, check and close. We're good. But then you have others that, hey, we go down to 640, we go down to a 620. We go down to a 580. And one of the reasons because of that, and it's 580 on FHA loans, is because New American Funding, you guys probably heard this in the past, we service our own loans. So we're not going to be, Bob Mortgage that sells it to ABC broker and ABC servicer 6, 4, 5 times. And, you're calling me saying, Jose, I got another letter. What does this mean? That just means you got to redo your auto draft pay or whoever you're paying every month. Yeah. We service our loans. So that gives us the flexibility to kind of be able to take, the lower end credit scores, and it's only on FHA. Granted, they have to have reserves and there's some overlays on top of it, but that kind of puts us out if you were to line up 10 lenders on the wall and saying, I have this family that needs a place to stay within 2 months. They have the cash. They even have 10% down, strong history. Just something happened, and their score is low right now. But the score is not the score. We can't do nothing about it. They just need to move now. We'll be one of or two of the lenders that, okay, let's do it. We can knock it out. We can take it on.
Well, Carol, how many interviews have we done over the course of this year and frankly, tail end of 2019, where these builders who partner with New American Funding or have them as their preferred lender, just rave and rave and rave. I mean, it's and listening to Jose today, I mean, you understand why.
Yeah, it's easy to see why when you talk to people from New American Funding, and everybody's just so passionate about what they do and getting people in homes and helping people to realize the American dream. And, New American Funding in general, I think, has a very strong focus on serving those who are underserved and helping them to buy homes. And, I think that's something that those of us in the industry are really passionate about. So it's nice to see. So thank you for your hard work, Jose.
No, absolutely. And it's one of those things where I have to add, like, yes, we truly are a family at NAF. You have some companies where you're rubbing elbows with the person next to you, but no, not here. Like when I first started, I had I knew the product, but the systems or CRM was different than where I came from. So I just had, I called 2 or 3 people at different branches at 7 p.m. at night, and we're all busy. So we're still logged on. And I just loved how it was like, hey, brother, I need help. Walk me through structuring this file. I know what I'm doing, but I want to make sure that I'm doing it right. Yeah, no problem. Boom. Took 15 minutes of his time. And this guy's more busy than I am. Took 15 minutes of his time saying, Jose, this is what you got to do. Boom, boom, boom. And I'm the type that show me once, show me twice. I got it. So it's one of those where I'm like, oh, perfect. Okay, we're good to go. And there's things like that. Or it's like maybe my branch is in Marietta. I may have an appointment in Lawrenceville or maybe even in Stockbridge that I'm meeting a client, or maybe there's a realtor that I've done a few deals with, but I don't see them often and I want to meet them. Everyone always is open. Like, hey, if you're ever in the area, stop by, use one of our offices, use our desk, you need to print docs, whatever the case may be. And that's what I truly love, because we truly look out for each other.
Well, and let me assure you, it shows. So, all right. Well, Jose, we're about out of time. Before we let you go, should anyone need to connect with you to learn more about New American Funding as well as your Latino outreach efforts, where do they go?
Yeah, absolutely, Todd. So if you ever want to get a hold of me, the easiest way is via cell phone, 770-630-1801. Once again, it's 770-630-1801. Or always follow us on Facebook, New American Funding Marietta. We have our own page, New American Funding Marietta. Or if yours says, hey, Jose, I got a prospect for you. I want you to take a look at this or ready to fill out an app. My app is not that hard to remember. It's mortgageaceloans.com. Once again, it's mortgageaceloans.com. And that's what I call myself, the Mortgage Ace. That's my little hashtag. If you follow me on social media, you're always going to see the spade icon. You're going to see hashtag Mortgage Ace. That's me. And I've been owning it for years now. So I said, why not, get a website that's customized? So mortgageaceloans.com.
I love it. Jose Plascencia, the Marietta Branch Manager with New American Funding. Jose, again, it was a great pleasure to have you on the show. And again, on behalf of Carol and myself, we are grateful for New American Funding's support of this show. So thanks for joining us.
Yeah, we're grateful for you guys, and the pleasure's mine. Thank you.
All right. Well, that wraps this week's All About Real Estate edition. On behalf of our show sponsor, New American Funding, my co-host, Carol Morgan, I am Todd Schnick. That's all the time we have for today. Thank you for tuning in and listening, and we'll look forward to seeing you again right here tomorrow. We'll see you.
Atlanta Real Estate Forum Radio is made possible by Denim Marketing, the publisher of Atlanta Real Estate Forum, Atlanta's favorite source for real estate and home building news. Denim Marketing is a comfortable fit, like your favorite pair of jeans. Denim Marketing tailors marketing strategies to meet your specific needs and niche. Try them on for size. They will work to create a perfect fit for your company's marketing program. Call them at 770-383-3360 or send an email to info@denimmarketing.com. For more information on Atlanta Real Estate Forum Radio or to inquire about being a guest, contact info@atlantarealestateforum.com. Check out the radio show by visiting atlantarealestateforum.com or by listening to the show on your favorite podcast app. And if you enjoyed today's broadcast, we'd sure appreciate a rating and review on iTunes. Thank you again for listening, and we'll see you next time on Atlanta Real Estate Forum Radio.